Hello and welcome to the 8th part of the tutorial series. This part will cover the jobs Shopping Spree, Juggling Act, Cane Swipe, Eye in the Sky, and Mechanical Menace in episode 4 of Mice and Mechs. Let's start out instantly by selecting Sly and going to the first job, Shopping Spree. Now, Shopping Spree is a very difficult job to learn for beginners, so there will be a lot of beginner level strats that I'll present. And also it has to be noted that for episode runs, specifically this job is one of the hardest jobs that are the first jobs of a certain episode. So the view you get when you're exiting safe house looks like this. Job trigger is located all the way over there, slightly on the right. So what we're gonna do is to run through the village from the load, hold up to drop down, run straight, turn right, then left, keep running straight until you reach this catapult right here. Now this catapult is very essential for this entire episode, since we're gonna be using this same catapult in the any percent route a total of 4 times in Shopping Spree, Cane Swipe, Hard Target, and Operation Mousetrap. 3 times as Sly and once as Murray. With all these routes, the catapult is used to get to the job trigger, and the route from safe house to this job trigger is always the same with all these 4 different routes across all characters. But what is different is where exactly should you jump on this catapult. So this episode has several catapults. We're gonna be using another catapult twice in this episode, which is that one over there. And using this catapult pretty much locks all your inputs aside from the left analog stick. So no matter what I do, I'm always gonna get the bad landing, and I can't do any sort of inputs during this catapult flights. All I can do is to slightly aim my movement with the left stick, but it does matter where on this catapult am I gonna jump on. So with this first example, I'm gonna jump on the far end of this catapult and hold neutral on left stick, and let's see where it will bring us to. So pretty much at the center of this castle wall-like structure. But let's see what happens when I jump on the catapult from the other end. And yes, you can stand on that. So now we can see that I got a bit further. So indeed, from those 4 times we want to use the catapult. In Shopping Spree and Hard Target, we want to jump on the catapult end of the catapult. And in Cane Swipe and Operation Mousetrap, we want to jump on the other end of the catapult, on this end, because we want to get as far as possible, which is not the case in Hard Target and Shopping Spree. Here our objective is to aim our flight on this bouncy pad, and the job trigger is located on that platform. So as a whole, you come to the catapult from the left side of this tree and aim your flight with the left stick like this. Run to the job trigger, mash start when you hit the job trigger in order to skip a cinematic. The view you get looks like this. Sly is facing into the opposite direction of your destination. In this job, we have to collect 3 kinds of materials from 3 different interiors. Structure of the job is to go eavesdrop on guard and then get the item from an interior. So from the job trigger, it's like eavesdrop interior, eavesdrop interior, eavesdrop interior, and when going to the second interior, there's also gonna be a hack. So from the load, you wanna hold 11 o'clock, single jump, paraglide once and land on this fence. This is because Sly falls down faster when he's in a thief move landing animation. Then we want to get up on that roof ahead. So your option is to simply land on this bouncy pad, or single jump circle boost on this rope and jump off, or simply run to that bouncy pad, you don't need to jump on it, or do a paraglide boost on the roof. This is usually kind of sketchy, and you have to pretty much start your jump from this wheel in order to make it without ledge grabbing and otherwise fluently. Then from this edge, double jump circle boost on this spire point, and then double jump circle boost on this rope. Then the trigger is right there, and in order to reach that trigger with as less walking on the rope as possible, you gotta do a very extended double jump circle boost. Now, of course, if you have rail sprint, that is not the case. So, like this. Now, if you don't have rail sprint, there is one more option for you to take. When we look around from the ground level, below the trigger, the highest point on the ground is pretty much on top of this pile of plants or leaves or whatever. And from this exact spot, you can just double jump circle boost on that rope from the ground level and trigger the cutscene. Jumping there from ground level is only faster if you don't have rail sprint, and when coming from over here, you pretty much gotta completely stop your momentum in order to get the trigger hit instantly. So let go of analog stick, and even now I still had a bit of speed and incorrect positioning, so I didn't hit the trigger immediately. So let's try again. The positioning here is very precise, so that's why I recommend you to use the roof strats regardless of having rail sprint or not. Skip cinematic and hold 10 o'clock from the load, single jump circle boost on that bouncy pole, double jump circle boost on this rope. And all the way from this roof we can paraglide on the roof with the trigger. So you spawn like this, so you're still too far away to attach on that bouncy pole with a single jump circle boost, but you have to jump before the fade out animation has completely left the screen, or otherwise you'll fall into the ground. The backup here is to double jump circle boost on this rope and then to either of those bouncy poles, like so. And double jump paraglider boost on the roof, mashed circle when approaching the trigger in order to get it optimally. And from the load you want to mash start in order to skip the cinematic. Now we're at the tavern area, and this place contains one of the most legendary skips in Sly 4 speedrunning. Tavern Skip, name based on the area we're at right now, and skip because we're gonna pretty much skip all the intended platforming. So as we can see from the map of this area, we're gonna spawn over here, and the intended route would go all the way from that other side of this area to that place on the right. So as we can see, we're actually pretty close to the end trigger, or our objective in this area. There are multiple versions of this skip that we can do in order to reach that platform right above me, or that rail walk platform, that pipe on the left of it. So here is the intended route, and here both the winch cycle and the cup cycle later on in this section are pretty much completely RNG, inexplicably, just like the cycles in Speedrunner hacks, I guess. And there at the end of this section we can see that I reached the trigger area, but I can't get the metal piece until the gear presents its opening. So this gear is running on a cycle that's consistent, unlike the other cycles in this area, and the gear does 3 rounds in 16 seconds, so that means 1 round for every 5.33 seconds. And these 5.3 second intervals create the cycles in this section. And this intended route loses a total of 4 cycles to the fastest known strat in this area, aka over 20 seconds. Now the fastest cycle is extremely difficult, so it's usually just about 16 seconds to quote-unquote optimal, because the absolute fastest cycle is one of the hardest tricks in the game, easily. So let's go over these strats. So the slowest version of Tavern Skip is called a chair strat, which uses this chair at the back of the room to double jump circle boost on the stirrer, and then just double jump circle boost to the end. This still saves like 11 seconds to the intended route. And then there are 2 or 3 different variations that can reach a cycle even earlier than that and save the 16 seconds in total. These would be the ones where you mash X and circle from the load and paraglide onto this double buttress and then slope jump up to pillar so that you get enough altitude in order to do a double jump circle boost on the pipe and then just jump to the metal piece platform. Overall, this is the second fastest method to get to the metal piece. Then there's an easier version of that drops on the ground level and paraclimbs up to that same spot where you slope jump from. And even with this strat, you have about 2 seconds of time to set it up without losing any time. And then there's this awkward looking shelf strat, which is just as fast as the others obviously, but even in terms of getting to the trigger area, it's just as fast as the lower level buttress strat. This used to be an old strat back in the day, but I kinda don't recommend it. It's pretty awkward. So here you gotta do a quick double jump circle boost, so pretty much instantly when you can do a double jump input, you have to do a double jump input and then the circle boost input right after that in order to reach that pipe. And then there's the fastest strat, and that is the roof beam strat, or rafter strat, whatever you want to call it. In this strat, we jump on the fence right next to your spawning location on the right, and then double jump, slope jump, paraglide on top of this roof beam, and then right as you're starting to fall down, you gotta jump to the right and paraglide boost on the metal piece platform. If you start your jump too early, you'll bonk on the ceiling and won't get enough height, so you literally need to be on the far edge when starting your jump. With the fastest possible scenario, you gotta hold towards the PS button from the load and release it as neutral immediately after you have jumped. Then set up the camera and flick the left stick up very quickly in order to make Sly face directly forwards, then single jump backwards, and at the height of your single jump, double jump forwards in order to get a slope jump kind of effect where you get a bit more altitude than normally. And after you have gained that tiny bit of extra altitude, tap the paraglider. Do not hold R1. Just simply tapping it is enough, and you should be able to reach this platform where you can stand on consistently. Now this fastest cycle is extremely tight, but in my opinion that is completely unrealistic, especially for beginners. So what I recommend you to do if you try to learn and go for this difficult strat is to set this skip up very carefully. You have a few seconds of leeway still if you try to go for that second fastest cycle, and that setting up works like this. No hurry whatsoever. Go over here and get the piece. After this animation, hold down right and then go left and mash circle as you reach this trigger. If you would hold right here and not down right, you risk falling into the water here. So just drop down. You can do something like that if you want. This trigger leads into a load. After this load, you can move instantly, and you want to hold up right. But instantly after the load completes, pretty much after like half a second, you want to switch holding directly up. Reason for this is that when we look at where we spawn, you would end up bunking on this trapdoor. Here the trigger is located very far, but straight ahead, and we're gonna run there through the village. So simply run straight and go from the left side of this torch. And when you reach this point, we're gonna reach the trigger by using the set of these rope platforms leading up there. And when we approach this lengthy rope, we can just single jump circle boost on it right as we pass the right corner of this catapult. And we want to aim our jump on that corner of this platform, and the jump you're gonna get looks like this, and then double jump circle boost directly on that next platform and keep double jump circle boosting. You don't need to extend a couple of these first ones, but this third one is recommended to be extended in order to land over here and not over here, because our objective is to reach that next trigger airborne, and we can't do that if we're on the back end of this platform, as you can see. But if we extend this third circle boost and land exactly here, now we can do that. Now, when coming over here with rail sprint, you instead want to aim directly at the rope and then rail sprint for a tiny moment until you can make the double jump circle boost. So the movement in its entirety: single jump circle boost, extended double jump circle boost, double jump circle boost, double jump circle boost, extended double jump circle boost, double jump circle boost. Pause the game, skip cinematic. So after the load, we're not gonna spawn. on the rope, which would be over there. Now instead we're gonna spawn on the ground, and our next objective is to go over there. So hold 11 o'clock from the load, keep running forwards until you reach this junction right here with the bricks. From here you can single jump circle boost on this pole, and then double jump to this fence, and double jump on the roof. So as a whole, 11 o'clock, right, single jump circle boost, roof, drop down, go straight down this ramp, and turn right, break that, and mash circle to get to the hack trigger optimally. From the load you want to hold directly left until the hack animation has almost entirely gone away. So when the Bentley's hacking starting animation leaves the screen, that's when you want to change holding up left instead of directly left. We're gonna use the Panzer code for the first time in ages, and with this you just want to blast your way through. Try to keep an optimal line of movement, and with that optimal line of movement just try to aim your Panzer code to hit that trigger on the right. Swap back to the shell code, pick up this key, and with optimal lines just go straight down, set the key to down right in order for it to hit the trigger optimally. From the load hold 1 o'clock since you spawn like this, so indeed 1 o'clock, and go down. So here you can see that the trigger that makes that laser wall go away is located further down, and we only need to go a bit closer to it after blowing up these pink gems. And this is just enough. As you can see, from this distance we can destroy it already. So, in its entirety, just move a bit closer to it, and that should make the wall go away. Here, wait for the cycle if you have to. Just tank through these enemy tanks, and keep blasting the pink gems. Now here the cycle might be unoptimal or not, just work with them as you go. Once again, just ignore this other tank. And here, let's look at this section. So the pink gems that you have to blow up cover the shellcode swapping station. And here there are firewalls protecting the data key and the data key station. The safer strat here would be to shoot both the shellcode barricade and the firewalls of the data key and its delivery station, because the tank projectiles with the Panzer code take out pretty much the entire firewall with just one projectile, and then just go back and destroy the rest of the pink gem wall and get the shell code and finish this stage. Then hold 1 o'clock or up, try to shoot the boss tank, and don't care about it if you have enough health. You can just do straight line of movement and destroy the final trigger, and you're done with the hack. Now this load after the hack is extremely short. You don't need to skip cinematics or anything, just hold up. This load is tied with the fastest in the game with the El Jefe boss fight when hack loads are not counted. You will reach the next cutscene trigger when you enter the shadow, or literally enter the center room of the bakery. So hold up from the load and be prepared to hit start instantly when you hit the trigger. Now from the load, you gotta do the same kind of movement when going from Tavern to the second eavesdrop cutscene trigger. So do not hold up from the load, hold upright instead in order to go past the table from the right side. Now here we're gonna smash those furnaces. Quickly pressing X plus square will do it. Like, I'm gonna do the scuff boost inputs from slide 3, and they're still gonna work. Now, this cycle is pretty interesting here. So, you can only get the wood for a certain period of time. And the early wood cycle is pretty tight, so I'm gonna show it straight from the load. So the oven closes pretty much instantly after I had reached the trigger area. These shovels are in the way, so dodge them and mash circle when you get to in front of this oven. And after getting the wood, go back to where you came from and exit the bakery. by going to the right, and the camera angle can be a bit wonky there, but just to memorize the area and visualize it in order to not die here, because reminder, these fires are insta-kill. So 2 o'clock from the load, X plus square, mash circle, get the wood, go left, another hit, and go outside, mash circle in order to hit the trigger optimally. Now from this load, what I do is that I hold down left, and it should look like this, because our next objective is to get to this catapult. So this is how you spawn after the bakery. So from in front of the bakery, the next trigger area, the next eavesdrop cutscene is located behind the bell tower over there. So after using this catapult, go right, and it's once again on top of a rope. We're gonna double jump on this bouncy platform, and we're gonna try to skip jumping on the spire point and instead do a double jump input past it in order to directly land on the rope. Now here, if you have rail sprint, just sprint to the trigger, but if you don't, by just single jumping, you're either not gonna get far enough, or you're gonna go past the trigger. And walking to the trigger simply is pretty slow. One more method exists, and that is the mid-air cane swipe attack. So immediately after landing on this rope, quickly press X plus square, kinda like with slide 3 scuff boosts, and you hit the trigger. So when the cutscene triggers, pause the game and skip cinematic once again. So the view you get looks like this. Shoemaker is located over there, directly ahead of you. So all you gotta do is hold up from the load or ever so slightly upright, but basically just up. Break this box in front of your way and just go down this pathway and mash circle once again. After this load, you want to hold up or slightly up left. We're gonna enter the Shoemakers, go up the stairs, and after passing by this red carpet on the floor, do a single jump circle boost on the rope, like this, and do 1 cane jump, and you should be able to reach this platform up top here. And here the cutscene will trigger instantly when you start falling off from this platform, and when that happens, pause the game and instantly skip cinematic. So here the casual route would be to use this hook, but this is very slow. So instead, since we spawn like this, the camera angle is locked. You can see the rope on the left. So just attach to the rope, do a couple of cane jumps, and when you reach the top, let go and paraglide to this platform over here. And what I recommend you to do, if you're just learning the game, learning the speedrun for the first time, use this scroll space to get to this final item and wait for the electric protection to go away and snatch it. But a risky and difficult strat exists for this section that is referred as crawl skip, and this skip saves 6 seconds, so you decide what to do, especially when you're starting out, since it is a skip that easily can result in an instant death, since the platform below me is insta-kill. So our objective indeed is to jump on top of that metal arm. There are multiple setups for this, for example the one where you jump on there by using this fence. Easy. Here, getting on top of the fence is a more difficult task than actually getting on top of the hand. There was even a bit of paragliding involved. Now usually if you get stuck like this, there is no escape and no hope. So I aim to the backhand of this metal arm, and then when I'm at the height of my single jump, I'm gonna do the sideways double jump and try to aim on top of the arm, and it works like this. So I kind of just curl on top of the arm from the right, and then from here you can just safely double jump to the end. So practice this skip a bunch. This is not free without practicing it a lot first. So in its entirety, from the load, you want to hold 7 o'clock and mash X and circle. Do 2 cane jumps on the rope, paraglide to the next platform, do the crawl skip, and since I did a double jump there, I could just run straight since it was pretty slow, but if I did not double jump it, I would have to wait for a fraction of a second there before I could get that leather. And this is the end of the job. Let's go back to the safe house and mash X to pick up slime for the second time in a row. We're gonna go to Juggling Act now. Job trigger is located on the left, pretty close to the hideout. Job trigger itself is a piece of cake. Just paraglide on this roof and single jump circle boost on this corridor, but what is an interesting issue, kinda, how you want to look at it, is this tower that spins. After hitting the job trigger, we have to go on top of this platform, and the only way to reach it are these balloon ropes hanging on from this tower. And the interesting thing about this tower is that these cycles are not global, they're not RNG either. As we can see, when we are not looking at the tower does not spin. As you can see from the left, one of those ropes is hanging and it's not moving, and it won't move until the tower or a part of the tower is visible on screen. So look at this. Now it starts moving again. I can stop this by will. So what this means in speedrun terms is that the cycle starts instantly when you exit safe house and not when the area reloads after you skip the opening cutscene of the job. But it also means that it's possible to do cycle manipulation, and that's exactly what we want to do. So from the load, hold up left, paraglide, but try to turn the camera away from the tower when you're going to the job trigger. If you have rail sprint, you can just rail sprint to the trigger while turning the camera while you rail sprint. But if you don't have it, then you just gotta single jump to the trigger like this and mash start on the skip cinematic. So from the load, you spawn like this. And from here, if you don't have rail sprint, you want to double jump on this rope and double jump on this fire point, and then just single jump on these fire points until you can double jump circle boost. And with rail sprint, you can just single jump on the rope and then double jump straight to this fire point and onto that balloon rope. So now I'm gonna show this start to finish with the cycle manipulation, and if you have rail sprint, I don't think the cycle manipulation is necessary. That's how you hit the job trigger, and then keep turning the camera here.
Okay, Sly, get up that tower and you can break out the new outfit and boy I made with those materials.
And that's how you roll. So when you reach this platform, just simply mashing L2 is not recommended. Just simply wait until the pop-up info box appears on screen that tells you that you can equip the archer costume, like this. And then stand next to the basket and mash circle in order to enter the shooting mode as quickly as possible. And here, just hold down R1 in advance and aim to the top right corner of that target. Like this, we don't care about coins. How long you have to hold down R1 in order to actually shoot the arrow? And the answer to this is when you see all 4 arrows on screen visible, and then you can let go of R1. But do not anticipate it. Just use your natural reaction time regarding that phenomenon. And instantly after shooting the arrow, mash L2 to get out of the archer costume, because the archer costume does not have paraglider. And instantly after getting out of the costume, do an extended double jump circle boost on the rope, like this. Do a second one, and from here you can already double jump circle boost on this rope. And when you reach this point, paraglide towards the trigger. You should land over there if you start your paragliding all the way from here. So from here, paraglide boost until you reach the tent. And here you could do the intended way where you go down to the circus from the top of the tent, but the trigger for that actually reaches outside the tent since it's not completely circular, I guess. Polygons for the win. So what you want to do is to aim between the end of that rope and the wooden pole itself. So basically directly to the junction of this yellow and this red piece of fabric. And just as the ground is starting to turn into a slope, that's when you want to double jump quickly, and immediately after the second X input, open paraglider. So as a whole, the early trigger hit should look like this. Let's go over a couple of backups still. So if something as unfortunate as you falling down from the circus tent roof happened, you have two different backups. For shits and giggles, the other one would be to paraclimb on top of this roof from the tree, but that's a bit slower compared to this backup where you go behind the tent and jump on top of this branch that had to make way for the tent and aim to about over there and just get back on top. This load is relatively quick. Skip a cutscene. This section right here consists of some global cycles like these and the final end cycle, and then some other cycles that are loaded upon certain checkpoint hits. But since the final cycle, the big slowly spinning target, is global and one full cycle takes 12 seconds, there is a lot of stuff that can go wrong, and at the end of the segment you could still be on an optimal pace. But this section has a lot of little tricks and two biggish skips involving paraglider. So we should be shooting an arrow to that target and then walk and then drop down to that platform. But there are thankfully no checkpoints before that next platform, and we can reach that rope by just paragliding towards it. So double jump paraglide boost from the edge, and you should be able to reach that rope with optimal paragliding. Turn the camera if it helps you to attach on the rope, but here we are. And then a single jump off, and you can already equip the archer costume while you're airborne, as long as you are hovering above that platform so that you won't ledge grab like this. And mash circle upon landing on it. Shoot an arrow, and shoot this arrow to the right corner of this target. Now, wait patiently for these fires to go away. And then double jump circle boost on this rope. Now here, the intended route would wall sneak, but with a double jump circle boost from this edge, you can reach the next rope all the way on the other side. And then do some circle boosting and land on these bouncy pads and get on top of the next checkpoint. It's very easy to miss these checkpoints, so remember to hit all of them, or otherwise you'll be looking at some major time loss. So then just jump on top of these, and once again equip the archer costume in midair in order to reach this basket and mash circle upon landing. Shoot an arrow to that target and just circle boost along it. There's a checkpoint here. Wait for a cycle to arrive, and here you don't have to be that optimal because that kind of huge boosts happen even if you are a bit behind on the cycle. Mash circle upon landing to this platform. There's another checkpoint, and shoot an arrow instantly. Now, these cannonballs, they do not start firing until your arrow has hit that target. And the patterns that these cannonballs shoot are surprisingly fully consistent. No RNG involved with them whatsoever. As you can see, they have a clear and consistent pattern. The cannon closest to you shoots one cannon at a time, and then the second and third cannon shoot two cannonballs at a time. So after you have shot that arrow, if you don't have rail sprint, keep the archer costume on, double jump circle boost on the rope, and by furthest you should land with the circle boost over here. And here, with optimal pace, do one neutral jump and then double jump circle boost forwards. And after you have dodged that first cannonball, with optimal pace, you should be able to just get past without taking any damage from the cannonballs all the way to the end with 3 double jump circle boosts. And if you have rail sprint, then with optimal pace you can just run straight through the entire rope, and actually the second rope as well, with optimal pace of course. since this is cycle based after all. And when you reach this platform, this is the cycle, the first cycle that really matters. So if you had done some minor mistakes before this point, then it's likely not going to matter at all. So let's keep going. Once again here, you don't have to be that well on pace with the certain cycle in order to still reach where you're trying to spire point to. And here, when you're swinging on this final trapeze, you can single jump off from it as soon as it has passed the halfway point of its swing, like this, and mash circle upon landing. Shoot the arrow, and here, without rail sprint, the optimal play is to do 4 double jump circle boost and then wait on the 5th one, because if you don't, that will happen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, wait a bit over here, 5, 6, and off we go. Next checkpoint, you can skip that spire point, and you can skip that spire point straight to the rope. And when you reach this platform, unequip the archer costume. The camera angle is locked here. The intended route would go down and climb this pipe all the way on top, and then drop down to that platform where the next checkpoint is located. That's the beginner level strat. If you want to be a bit more optimal, then you can already paraglide on that platform from the halfway point of that pipe. And by the way, every time you fail, you spawn on the platform where the previous checkpoint you hit was located. So those are the easy strats. So now we're gonna go over the second paraglider skip in this circus tent, because we can actually hit the next checkpoint all the way from this platform by paragliding towards it. And the direction we're gonna paraglide is on the near edge of that platform. So we're gonna aim our paragliding to this point, and this requires a really precise paraglide boost. Not frame perfect, but you know, just try to open paraglider immediately after the second X input and space your double jump input correctly. And based on a cycle, this might be tricky, but here you can do a paraglide over that spinning snake if the head of the snake is just on your way when you're trying to do the skip. But if it's not there, then this is what it looks like. And when you know that you're gonna hit the trigger, spiral dive down. You spawn on this platform. Now you didn't have the archer costume equipped, so equip it by mashing L2 after you have taken damage and fallen to the void. Mash circle in order to trigger the basket. Shoot the arrow, and if you see that you can wait on the cycle a bit, then you can de-equip the archer costume, or then not. Since this is a big cycle, you don't want to lose 12 seconds if you see that you have a chance to save that. If you're playing as Sly, when you try to jump off, double jump paraglide open and ledge grab this portion of the platform. And if you're in the archer costume, do 2 single jumps and then ledge grab this platform. We're trying to do a ledge grab jump, which are usually higher than normal double jumps. Of course, the other way around would be just do the intended route, which I do recommend for people who are just learning the speedrun for the first time. But what you want to do here is to aim directly left and double jump upwards towards where Galleth is, like this. So now I'm gonna show one full clip of this interior section, both without rail sprint and with rail sprint. So rail sprint doesn't actually save any time when the standard of optimal play is the fastest cycle you can make. But if you have failed a bit here and there and you have difficulties making that fastest cycle, then of course rail sprint is gonna make making that faster cycle in any scenario a bit easier. So here I'm doing all kinds of riskier strats that I do not recommend you to do, because for one, they necessarily don't save any time, since when reaching the second set of trapezes, you still can't make a faster cycle compared to that is already completely doable with the strats that I showed you when going through this interior play by play. But at least here you get to see that I wasn't talking rubbish when talking about the fact that you can just circle boost through the cannonball routes. And then finally with the rail sprint, the strat strats look a bit different because they can look a bit different, but of course on its own some of these rail sprint strats are indeed faster, but ultimately it doesn't matter. And here is the proof that you can just run straight through the ropes with cannonballs. At the end of the job, as normal, there's gonna be an unskippable cutscene where Galleth and Sly meet for the first time, and after that cutscene, we're gonna get placed back to the safe house. After the load, there's gonna be a cinematic that you want to skip by mashing the circle button, just like with every other second job of an episode thus far. And after that, you want to pick up Sly again for the third time in a row, and let's go to cane swipe next. So just like with shopping spree, hold up from the load and mash X to skip that info pop-ups POC screen, but of course wait until it appears before you start mashing X. So do the movement to the catapult just like in shopping spree, but this time jump on the far end of it and aim your flight with the left analog stick to go as far as you can with it. Just run straight towards the drop trigger, but here if you just run without using paraglider, you're gonna get bounced off. So immediately when you start falling, release the R1 button and instead tap paraglider once. This way you won't get that awkward bounce. And when you hit the job trigger, mash start in order to skip a cinematic. Now after this cinematic, you spawn like this, and you have to take pictures of Black Knight and the cane case. And you can take those pictures instantly when you spawn, but you are under time pressure since both the Black Knight and the cane case are gonna disappear behind the corner, and if you did not take the pictures in time, then you have to move in order to catch them. So what you want to do is first tap on the binocucom instantly when the load has completed, and you can see that you actually have to zoom for the picture, but how much is the question, and the answer is literally an inch. That's like what, 10% of zoom in total? So after opening the binocucom, just simply tap up a bit with the left stick and you should already have the required zoom in order to take the picture, and you should have the zoom and focus on Black Knight already immediately after you've been enabled to take the picture. This works with both the Black Knight picture and the cane case picture, so instantly after the binocucom closes, after taking the Black Knight picture, reopen it by mashing or quickly tapping R3 again, and do the same thing with the cane case picture. So this is how it works. And after taking the cane case picture, mash square to break these boxes in front of your way, and single jump behind this guard. Now, this jump can be quite tricky, especially if you're learning the game for the first time. So in order to go safe, you can take your time with it, or line it up in a way that you can paraglide past the gap, or then the easiest setup you can do is to jump on this trampoline and paraglide behind the guard. Our objective is to stealth slam both of these guards. Now after stealth slamming that first guard, the second guard is hardwired to always come investigate. And if a guard in this game has been alerted, you cannot stealth slam them. So in order to stealth slam them, just stand behind them and mash triangle, and after taking out the guards, just run to the cane case, wherever it is located after taking out the guards. Now, optimally, after taking out the first guard, I recommend you to run besides that wall. Now, what it will do is that it makes that guard not run further away from the Black Knight and the cane case. And you can even stay hidden behind that wall. When you're done, just run to the cane case and mash circle so that you'll interact immediately when you reach the trigger area. So from start to finish, and of course mash R1 in order to take the pictures as quickly as you can, since you know that your aim for them is correct. Mash triangle behind the guard. Wait patiently. And you're done. Right. Mash circle. Unskippable cutscene that leads into a load. Now we're gonna go to the third alter ego hack in the game. And this alter ego is just like the other alter egos. This time we're just scrolling upwards instead of any other direction, I guess. And I'm just gonna speed it up because there's nothing that interesting going on except for the boss, because the boss in this hack is quite tricky because it becomes vulnerable so quickly after the upward scrolling of the screen has ended. So you pretty much have to know exactly how you should position there in order to get these early kills. But once again, it doesn't matter that much. Only loses a few seconds if you don't get it. In my opinion, this is the hardest hack to get the early kill in, so don't take this ending for granted. If you're aiming for top times, there is always a few seconds that you can save here with optimal play, and you gotta pay full attention in order to execute that optimal play. But this is actually the end of the job. After the load, there's gonna be another unskippable cutscene. This is the actual end cinematic for this particular job. And finally, we get to select someone else than Sly in the safe house when we are gonna go to Eye in the Sky. And for that job, we're gonna select Galleth. So let's go over what is so special about Galleth. So otherwise, he is a complete copy of Sly. He has his own super attacks, and he also has a shield that works the same as Adrenaline Burst, but unfortunately it has the same speed as running speed, so Galleth doesn't actually go faster than by running when using the shield. So double tap R1 to use shield, but we never use it. And with Galleth especially, not having paraglider is a shame because we're gonna be dealing with high altitudes majority of the time when playing as him. So the Eye in the Sky job trigger is located slightly on the right of the safe house, and we're gonna go there by using this catapult. So from the load, hold 1 o'clock and get to the catapult, and after this keep running straight. After this building on the left, turn left, single jump on these bouncy pads twice, and then double jump the final jump, and the job trigger is literally ahead of you. By the way, if you have troubles with flashlight guards, the shield is very OP. So just get to the job and mash start in order to skip a cinematic. So from the load, you want to hold up and press X plus circle in order to circle boost on this rope. And since Galleth doesn't have a paraglider, you gotta double jump right before the animation turns into the bad landing animation in order to avoid it. You can also just mash X and circle from the load. Another single jump with extended double jump. Single jump circle boost here, and this is where we are gonna explain the Galleth's special ability, which is Catapult Crash Technique. Now you load this by holding down R2, and you can hold down R2 even before you latch on to these hooks. The technique still activates. Another interesting feature with this technique is that when you disconnect from pressing the triangle button, you can actually do a jump from that altitude from the hook itself if you press X right after triangle. This little trick comes into play especially in the next job, Menace. And another neat thing is that often Galleth will automatically do the circle input to latch on pipes and certain other thief objects that are located right above the place where you're doing the catapult crash from. And also note that if you press X on the first possible frame after attaching to the hook, you're not gonna get a catapult, and instead you're gonna just get a jump with no height, even though you were holding R2. So it's kind of like a frame jump, but from a hook with Galleth. Okay, so our objective is to climb 3 towers in this job, and every tower is different from each other. This first tower is just a standard tower where there are no moving parts whatsoever. There is a little trick here, a unique trick so far in the speedrun that saves 3.5 seconds, but let me show the more casual route first, maybe. So once again, you don't have to wall sneak on this edge. It's wide enough to just run on it. So run past this corner and try to do an extended circle boost. In order to do that, you kind of have to jump a bit outwards, and after passing the structure above you, like this, and you can just immediately jump from a spiral point to another. You don't have to walk on these small pipes. And you can attach to this hook without touching the ground in between. So then let's go over the little skip here. So This technique is referred as mysterious reflexes, and it looks like this. So I jumped on top of this platform after bonking on it when being in a thief move landing animation. Like someone just found this when I tried to do a wall sneak move on that platform on the edge, but kept mashing X while doing it and bonking on the structure. So literally what you're gonna do is to stand far enough from the thief move landing platform, which in this case is the wall sneak platform. You want to start your jump as far from that thief move platform as possible in order to get max height. And then on the moment when you are going to bonk on certain solid structure, you're just gonna simply mash X in order to instantly jump off from it. So in motion, after getting onto this first pipe, we're just gonna double jump on that platform where we can stand down and skip that spider point like this. Now, if you're optimal, you're not gonna ledge grab, but even if you would ledge grab, that's just fine. This way you will get to an optimal position to do the mysterious reflexes strat. And you can't do pretty much anything around here since a solid platform is directly above you, so just run forwards a bit until you can actually get effective jump heights. And from here, if you want to keep it easy and simple and straightforward, jump on this platform and then to the hook. But you can also just double jump circle boost on the hook directly from here, and it's not that hard either. So, in its entirety, and when you get to the final hook, you can basically press start immediately after pressing X. Like, of course, if you're like super fast, like here, I still was able to trigger that cutscene since it says skip cinematic here. So indeed, after scaling the first two towers, just instantly pause the game after doing the final catapult. On the last one, you can't do that since there's an unskippable cutscene because the job is gonna end and you're gonna get a transition to the load. But anyways, skip this cinematic. Now you're gonna spawn like this, and the second tower is over there. And you can see that the tower is indeed spinning, and the hooks are spinning with the tower. And then there are these platforms covering the next hook, and these platforms only have small gaps in them, which means that the tower 2 is heavily cycle based. And you might be thinking after hearing what happened with Juggling Act tower that, hey, of course this tower doesn't spin either when you don't look at it. But no, actually these cycles are global. So the tower always spins no matter the camera angle you have. The routing looks kind of scuffed here, but it's the actual fastest route. So you would think that after running up this path we would turn left, but we're not actually going to do that. We're going to turn right, or rather keep running forwards and turn left after passing that plant. So hold 12:30 o'clock from the load, so between up and 1 o'clock. And we want to take the bad landing here because this is a cycle-based section and we want to slow the in-game time down as much as we can. There's a checkpoint at the bottom of every tower. So I'm gonna show what it looks like if you don't have an optimal pace, and how long it would actually take to get to the top of the tower. So this would be the final hook. Now I could have easily made the actual fastest cycle there, but I just wanted to showcase how much you would lose time if you didn't make that. So if you know that you made mistakes before getting to the trigger, you can just simply restart checkpoint after you see the autosave icon pop up and hold up and mash X and circle from the load. And you see how fast I scaled this tower now. So yeah, if you miss the fastest cycle, it's faster to restart checkpoint. So in its entirety, 12:30 o'clock from the load, just run straight, ignore all the guards. You have to be quick here in order to make the fastest cycle. And when you see the autosave icon, single jump circle boost to the hook, double jump circle boost left, and after that, just keep catapulting to the top. Galleth will automatically attach to every hook that comes after that. So skip cinematic, and you're gonna spawn on a spider point. So the final tower is located over there. So the route we're gonna take to that goes slightly from the left, since as you can see there's a lot of water in between these towers. So after the load we want to single jump off from the spire point as quickly as we can, and here do not take a bad landing, and instead intentionally skip the bad landing animation by doing a spiral dive just as you land. Reason for this are once again cycles on the third tower. With the second tower we wanted to slow the in-game time down by taking the bad landing, but with this final tower we want to do the opposite of that. So hold up from the load. Getting a frame jump here would be optimal, but don't go for frame jumps too aggressively, because we do not want to double jump here, since double jumping, as we know, is slow. So keep running forwards to the same pole we used in Shopping Spree, and do the same kind of movement as we did in that job in one section as well. But here we're not gonna go down the ramp, instead we're gonna single jump past that, drop down, and run straight to the trigger. But here we want to jump on this part of the wall, and from here with optimal cycles we can double jump circle boost directly on one of the spire points there, and in the process get a checkpoint. So there's a lot of cycles involved with this tower, but they run pretty quickly, and if there's a bad cycle on another side of the tower, then there's always a better one on the opposite side. So going super optimally doesn't matter that much really, as long as you don't fall down. Here Galleth might sometimes get an automatic ninja spire jump, but if the cycle is very unoptimal for that, then it's not gonna happen. If the cycle is looking really unoptimal, you can still try to double jump past the corner and reach the next platform that's located behind it. And even when it's looking pretty much hopeless, you can still get it, because then Galleth will just automatically slide off the spire point, and then you can just single jump instantly to the hook. Same thing works for this final platform where you can stand on, and with a really extended double jump circle boost you can just instantly latch on to these hooks and then just go and finish the job. I'll show one nice backup here. So what if something as unfortunate as you falling behind the tower would happen? Well, then just get up on top of this catapult and double jump circle boost back up. Always hit this guard, otherwise he'll send a missile after you. So I'm having a pretty optimal pace right now, so let's see what the cycles look like here. That's the end of the job. Unskippable cutscene to finish it, and let's get back to the safe house. After the load, just mash X to select Galleth again, and the next job is called Mechanical Menace. The job trigger is located directly ahead, so just like with Shopping Spree and Cane Swipe, hold up from the load and go right after passing that first cottage, but then go directly left here. Break this, single jump on the haystack, and to the job trigger, mash start in order to skip a cinematic. You spawn like this, you have to go directly forwards pretty much, but do not hold up from the load, or otherwise you'll end up falling on this haystack and get this awkward bounce. So instead hold 11 o'clock from the load until you fall down, and after that continue running forwards, and you can single jump circle boost to that hook right after you have passed by this pile of plants here, like so, and mash circle to trigger the door immediately. And this is an unskippable cutscene, one of the rare lengthy unskippable cutscenes in the middle of the job, and this is because it ends with a load. So we're gonna go to the cave, so hold up or slightly up right from the load and just run through the cave. Stay on the left side, and here a cutscene will trigger when you basically already touch this junction on the power cable. So be prepared to press the start button. Skip cinematic, and after the load, Our objective is to scale this dragon lair. There's even a trophy for climbing up this tower in less than 90 seconds, but I'm gonna show you how to do it in less than 40. So first I'm gonna show you the full section of the scaling, and then we're gonna break it down to pieces. So this tower can only be described as a cycle hell, and in a good way, but only if you know exactly what you're doing. So there's an insane amount of cycles involved here, and they're all global. All these cycles are global here, completely. So this is exactly why I'm showing this entire segment at once first. There are some checkpoints involved here and there, and you will spawn very close to them if you fall down or take damage, and sometimes those checkpoints can be way back, so from fails you can lose a lot of time, and being impatient with cycles can lose you a lot of time easily. So I do recommend to practice this a bunch. So let's start. So this is how you spawn. Just hold 11 o'clock from the load. You can single jump circle boost on that hook after you have passed this power cable, like so. Catapult instantly, and with this cycle our intention is to skip that next hook above us, that one right above us, and just simply jump on this platform right here. Usually you need to double jump for it. So do your catapult after the top level of this platform has moved to about the same level as the middle of that fireball, or around 40% through its volume, like this. And then you can double jump on top. And here, an important thing to note is that you can't just run by holding directly right with your left stick all the way to the bottom level, because this will happen. So instead, instantly after you start falling down, release your left analog stick and hold neutral until you reach the ground. This way you will not take damage from that fireball. Then run to this winch, and these winches work identically with the ones in episode 1 Operation. And you want to roll on this winch until the top level of that moving platform has reached exactly about this point. And that's all you need in order to do a double jump circle boost on it, like so. And here you can do the catapult as soon as you see the propeller behind the platform that we're trying to catapult through. Like so. And here, that little dragon is very annoying. It's gonna cock you if it's near, and you're just gonna instantly jump onto this hook. So if it's near and you're still on an optimal pace, you have plenty of time to kill it, and only after that attach to the hook. Here you can pretty much instantly catapult to the next hook, but of course look out for these cycles. And here we are going to skip both of those two upper hooks you can see on the right. So in order to do that, we are not going to use the catapult. Instead, we're going to do the triangle plus X hook jump strat that I presented in the previous segment. So just simply press triangle plus X when that moving platform is in the furthest right on its cycle. And instantly, when landing on this platform, do a single jump circle boost, although the distance is so minor to that hook, so you won't see any kind of a boost effect no matter how quickly you do the circle input after X. And here, for beginners, I do recommend to use that upper hook and then disconnect and land on this moving platform and go to the spire point on the right. But if you want to go hardcore, you can do the hook jump strat over both of those fireballs. This does require a pretty precise double jump input though. So, as follows. Then you're gonna get a bad landing, but for some reason, when you're scaling the tower, you won't get the slow-mo. So jump on a spire point, instantly jump to this hook, and here, for beginners, I do recommend you to just scale this part with patience. But if you want to go super hardcore, you can jump past those fireballs from the unintended side, but it's realistically not gonna save that much. So then here, a similar type of fire propeller cycle. Just try to see that the platform we're trying to catapult to is not like completely on the opposite side compared to the lower platform here, because otherwise you'll end up taking damage from that fire. And then from this hook you can do the intended strat, but I recommend you to catapult from this hook when the cycle is on the far right, And you can already do a double jump circle boost on the second hook, on the second platform. Like this. This too can be rather precise, but not that difficult, honestly. Anyways, you're gonna latch onto that lower level hook regardless. And with this cycle, you can either catapult to it if the cycle is favorable for it. And even when the cycle is on the far right, you can still hook jump straight to the next platform. And if the cycle is quote-unquote unoptimal, the next platform is not here, then you can still make it to the next platform by extending your double jump to the left. You'll either get it with a ledge grab or just clear the gap flawlessly. Now this is the final hook cycle, and this is the trickiest. So with optimal cycles, you want to roll on the winch until the bottom level of this platform is on the same level as the middle point of those fireballs. With optimal cycles, our goal is to wait a bit until the bottom level fireballs go away, and then double jump on the hook like this. So what if it looks like you're definitely gonna take damage based on the cycles, like this? In these situations, try to save it by quickly catapulting and reattaching to the hook. Okay, we're at the top, so I'll show the casual route first. So here, go right, single jump circle boost on this hook, catapult, wait for the mouth to open, or if it's open, instantly jump past it onto the zipline. But there's a skip for this section, and I even recommend beginners to do this, since you can set it up by taking your time with it and going very safely with it, and it would still save time. So this skip involves you to do an extended double jump circle boost straight to the zipline from the edge of this corner platform. Now if your circle boosting is efficient enough, you can do it already from the edge of this platform, but depending on how you want to look at this situation, you can also go a bit further than that. There's a bit of collision that is invisible here where you can stand on. This basically makes this jump free, so decide how you want to do this strat. If your circle boosting is not that great, then I recommend you to start your jump from the invisible part of this platform. But if you're good at circle boosting, you could just do it from the visible part. One good tip for beginners is to do a bit of unoptimal movement and start running besides this ledge rather early and turn your camera to face directly diagonally with this top ledge. If you fail this by falling into the void, you're gonna spawn at the middle, basically at the center of this entire top platform. So with these tips, just execute the skip. And right as Galleth touches the ground, you want to pause the game in order to skip a cinematic. Now we play as Carmelita in the Moat Monster boss fight. So this fight looks kind of cool, but it is mostly a complete auto-scroller. So the only way for you to save or lose time in this fight is to shoot these mouths as quickly as you can when they open. If you have charge shot, equip it by holding down L2 as normal and use it by loading your shots. Every mouth requires 3 hits in total, and after you have shot a mouth, go in front of it. It'll spawn this cutscene where you have to mash R1. Every cycle, same things happen. And these missiles are also a thing where you can lose time to. You just kind of have to shoot them early enough in order to not lose any time, since the next attack pattern won't load until a certain amount of time has passed after shooting all the missiles. So you don't need to shoot the missiles as fast as possible in order to save every possible frame. Just shooting them kind of subpar optimally means that you're having the optimal pace throughout the fight. Which of the heads starts flame-throwing fire towards you is RNG, and in the second part of the fight, often more than one head starts to throw fire at you. And in these situations, right after you have shot all the 3 shots, you can aim your camera to point at the other mouth in order to pre-fire one of the 3 shots to one of the other mouths, and this will save time later on in the battle. When shooting the mouths, try to go as close to them as possible when you're starting to fire, and you can start firing right as the mouth opens. And that's pretty much the entire fight. Now here's an unskippable cutscene at the end of the job, and this also means that we're done with this episode. Thanks for watching, we'll see you with part 9 of the tutorial series later, but for now, just remember to like and subscribe and all that sell stuff. Bye!